trinomials, remember when we talked about polynomials, we said trinomials were the special case where it had 3 terms. Typically, you're used to seeing like x squared plus something x plus a constant. With those, you still have to look for your greatest common factor. Slip and slide was the method I think she taught. The last couple of years, Mrs. Keller switched methods. So last year I had some people that did slip and slide method and some people that did box method. Does everyone in here slip and slide sound familiar to you? Okay. So if you don't take out the greatest common factor, you will get the wrong answer with slip and slide. So we always have to start with our greatest common factor. Then we are looking at our slip and slide. You're thinking about what 2 numbers would multiply to our constant term and add to our middle term. And we have to watch our signs on those. We know that if you multiply 2 positives, you get a positive. If you multiply 2 negatives, you get a positive. A positive and a negative give you a negative answer. So you don't necessarily have to write these tips down. Those are just the things that we want to remember. I think the easiest way is just to jump right in and start factoring some and see if we remember our strategies. So we check no greatest common factor. It's a 1x squared, so we can't take out a number. The h is a constant, so we can't take out x. So if we're setting it up, this should factor into 2 parentheses. X squared. That means you can put 1x in each of those parentheses. What 2 numbers multiply to 8 and add to 6? Positive 4, positive 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. Does it matter if I put x plus 2 in the first parenthesis and x plus 4 in the second one? No. Totally fine. You just have to have both parentheses. X squared plus 3x minus 18. So x squared breaks into x. If you're going to, we need 2 things that multiply to a negative 18 and add to a positive 3. 6 and 3. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18. If we want it to be negative, one of those has to be negative. Since we want a positive 3, the bigger one is positive, the smaller one is negative. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. 6 plus negative 3 is 3. So, multiply to 40, add to 13. 8 and 5. Positive, negative, what do they have to be? Both positive. We'll do one more up here, and then I'm going to give you guys a couple to try. Multiply to a negative 14 and add to a negative 5. What would that mean? How come you picked the 7 to be the negative? Right. If you want to get a negative 5 when you add them, the bigger one needs to be your negative. All right, I'm going to put a couple up here. It's up to you if you want to write down the problem. If you just want to jot down your answers, I'm just going to walk around and kind of check. see if we're doing okay with this before I move on. Okay, so here's a few for you guys. So first one, multiply to a negative 15, so we know we have to have a positive and a negative. Add up to a negative 2, so the bigger one's negative. So negative 5 and positive 3. Second one, multiply to a positive 15, so they're the same sign. Add to negative 8, so they're both negative. So negative 3 and negative 5. C, multiply to a positive 1, so same sign. Add to positive 2, so both positive. So 1 and 1. And you can also write that as x plus 1 squared. And the last one, multiply to 49, so same side. Add to negative 14, so both negative, so negative 7 and negative 7. 4x minus 7 squared. Looked like we were doing pretty well with those when I walked around. Do you guys have any questions there? Let's look at some where the coefficient isn't 1. Okay, what would you do first on this? All of these are divisible by 2. Now you want to be careful when you do that. It doesn't just go away. You're factoring it out, so it comes out in front. So then it's x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now we have to factor this inside. So the 2 just trails along. Multiply to positive 9, so same sign. Add to positive 6, so both positive. So 3 and 3. You can write it like that, or 2 times x plus 3 squared. But make sure you don't drop your greatest common factor. It stays along. What about this one? We can't take out a greatest common factor. Do you guys remember how you did them? This was your slip and slide problem. So you slip the 9 down to the 1. All right, what multiplies to 9 and adds to negative 6? Okay, so you can write it twice or just square it. The biggest problem is people forget, they leave your answer right here, but what do we have to do? Yeah. We start out multiplying that 9, so now we divide it back. Okay, 3 over 9 reduces to 1/3. So remember, you have to reduce it, and then you slide that denominator back in front, so it becomes a 3x minus 1. And you could either write it twice or square. So when you divide your 9, reduce your fraction. If it has a denominator, slide your denominator back in front. All right. Is that one okay? If you have a negative coefficient, you need to be really careful. People like to try to slip and slide this, and they end up with a sign error about 98% of the time if they just jump right into slip and slide. So my suggestion, if there is a negative in front, so if your square term is negative, go ahead and take that out like a greatest common factor. So if I take a negative, that's just essentially dividing each of those by -1. And then we can slip and slide with what's left. And we don't have to worry about a sign issue. So if we slide our 3 down to the 2. negative that we took out is just going to keep trailing along. So you can carry it down, you can just put it on your final answer, that's up to you, personal preference. Multiply to -6 and add to -1. And we divide our 3 back. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so it's just a y minus 1. 2/3 doesn't reduce, so you slide the 3 back in front of that y. So 3y plus 2. And the negative that we took out at the beginning just stays in front. Can we try one with some bigger numbers? If you need a calculator, you might grab one. All right. What do you do first? Check for a GCF. The 3 is only divisible by 3. Can you do 25 divided by 3? No. So we don't have a GCF, so then what do we do? Slip and slide. Okay. Now everybody might need a calculator. Find me the two numbers. What multiplies to a -84 and adds to a -25? If you don't have a calculator, walk over and grab one. You're not going to sit and stare at me. I'm not giving you the answer this time.
No, we was waiting for someone.
I know you were. Like, who's going to be the one that walks that far, far distance to grab a calculator? Oh, no, sorry. You can borrow one of mine for today. -28 and 3. We need a -25, so the bigger one is negative, so -28, +3. Are we done? No. Now we have to divide the 3 back because we started out slip and sliding. 28 over 3 does not reduce, so we slide the 3 back. 3 over 3 is 1. And we talked about it Friday, but how do you check your answers? What could you do? Multiply it back out. So you can always check by multiplying them back out. All right. I want you guys to try one so I can make sure we're on track with these. I'll put a couple up here for you. So first one, take our 6 down. So we have x squared plus x minus 6. Multiply to a -6, add to a +1. So that would be a +3, -2. Then we have to divide the 6 back. So 3 over 6 reduces to 1/2, which means you slide the 2 in front. 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3, which means you slide the 3 in front. So 2x plus 1, 3x minus 1. B, if we bring our 4 down, okay, what would multiply to a positive 60 and add to a negative 17? Both negatives, so we get that negative 17. Then we divide our 4 back. 5 over 4 doesn't reduce, so you slide the 4 back in front. 12 over 4 just turns into a 3, so we don't have to slide anything back. Alright. How did we do with those? Good? Any questions for me? So what I want to do now, your very first homework assignment, this one is on Google Classroom. I typed a handout on there, so you just need a piece of paper, preferably not your notes because you will turn it in tomorrow, okay? Homework, I don't mind if you guys are asking each other questions, if you're comparing, checking your answers with someone else, that's totally fine, but just make sure everybody is doing their own work, okay? And you can definitely ask me questions. On this, it's a combination of what we did Friday and today. So the first 4 are GCF only. So remember we did that last week. Then there's a couple difference of squares problems, and then you get into your trinomials. Okay. So you've got quite a bit of time to work and ask questions.